Britain's great, isn't it? Great British day out by the seaside. You've got the pier, you've got the beach, you've got fish and chips. What a day out. But when did you last actually buy something that was made in Britain? TV, mobile phone, DVD recorder. Not made in this country, were they? It's been the same with motorbikes pretty much until recently. You'd buy Japanese, Italian, maybe German if you were feeling saucy. But that's definitely changed for this year with Triumph 675 Daytona. They launched that bike at the start of this year and it's pretty much ruled the 600 class roost. Great on track, great on the road, great character. And we're going to go and see the story behind this 675 Daytona now. And here we are, the Triumph factory at Hinckley. Unlike some factories, this Triumph plant doesn't just screw together bits it buys in from outside. They do a lot of solid engineering right in here in the factory. So for example, the crankshaft, which is the heart of any engine, it comes in as a raw forging from Spain, so it's just a raw lump of solid steel. Then it goes into these big machines, it gets ground down to the right dimensions and size, it's taken away, it's put in these plasma nitride ovens where they bake them at 500 degrees for about 28 hours just to give the surface a real hard finish. They come out of the oven, the journals are polished on this big huge polishing machine, and then they go over to the area where they're balanced, very high tech, and they're balanced on this machine. They're taken out, the journals are polished up, ready for the bearings, they're measured, tagged, ready to go in an engine, and then off they go. A similar process takes place with the camshafts. They come in as raw castings, forgings, and they're machined in-house. Once all these major components are finished off, they're put into big racks and taken over to the engine assembly line. Triumph does a big chunk of this machining in-house, so the crankshafts are getting made over there, crankcases machined. It's also produced into big sub-assemblies which then get bolted together into make an engine. We see them here, bottom crankcases, crankshafts, it's all just sitting in these racks ready to get bolted onto the line. Very start, you've got upper crankcase, crankshaft's in there, the top of the gearbox is in there, and just as it goes down the line you just bolt more and more parts on, so the engine's complete and ready to go in a bike. We just got the bottom end finished on this one, the sump's going on, the clutch is in there, oil pump, all that kind of stuff's in there, balance shaft. Stands a look like a real engine now. They've got the cylinder head on, they've turned it the right way up, the valves and all that are in there already, they're done in a special room over there. We're getting there. The Rocket 3 is a big bike, but it's not until you see the engine sat in a stand till you realise how huge it is. It's insane. We're at the end of the line, literally here. Engine's finished, ready to go. It's got all its wires, covers, everything's on there. It's ready to go on a bike. And the next time you see this, someone will be wheeling it past you on the road. It's not just the heavy engineering that Triumph does in-house, they actually make all their own bodywork. They've got these massive plastic injection moulding machines which cost millions and millions of pounds to buy. And here they make the panels, the nose cones, the seat units for the 675 Daytona from raw plastic. These panels then get taken down to the far end where they go into spray booths, sprayed by hand by really tip-top paint guys. They go through a drying process through loads of ovens, and then they come out to be finished and have the decals stuck on and get a final polish. The classic models get an extra level of attention, which in this coach lining, there's a very highly trained guy, sits with a paintbrush and a wee tin of gold paint and paints all the lines on by hand. Amazing job he does. And once he's finished, he puts his signature on, so they know who done it. Probably the least glamorous part of the factory here, but it's probably the most important part as well. Massive store section. In here they keep all the bits to make all the production, so there's no aftermarket parts or accessories here. These are all going to make bikes, and they reckon there's £1 million a week goes through here in terms of parts. Quality control's massive in a factory like this. Everything's got to be pretty much 100% right all the time.
And once the engines are built, they come here and they get the first kind of major test, which is it's an air decay test, they call it. They pump compressed air into the cylinders, turn the engine over, make sure there's no leaks, make sure they've remembered to put all the pistons and the valves in, and then once they've done that, it passes and it goes over to the chassis line where it gets put in a bike.
There's a clever robot at the end of the engine assembly line which carries all the completed engines over to the chassis line for assembly into a bike, and then takes the empty engine holders back in again. Very clever.
So the engine comes off the assembly line, frame's waiting for it here, and it goes on the start of the chassis line, as they call it, where everything else is bolted on to make the bike. Starting to take shape now, isn't it? The frame's on the engine, bolted in place, throttle bodies and that are starting to go on, subframe's bolted on, next we're going to put the suspension on. Swinging arm the shocks next to get bolted on, and they're also downloading the fuel injection map into the ECU here as well. All these wee jobs you don't think about, they've all got to get done. We're getting there now. They've hung it up in this crane now, just make it easier to work underneath it. The forks are on, so the front end's coming together nicely. Radiator's been mounted, the cooling system's all sorted, chains on at the back. We're almost there, we're getting there. The front wheel's on and the controls are on. I think you can just ride this one away. We've got a back wheel, chains on, side stand. We're ready to go nearly. This is bike number 281,361 of all the bikes that Triumph have made ever. And that's 362 there, 363. They're very busy, aren't they? Very busy boys at Triumph. Filling the cooling system now. This tube here, it makes a vacuum inside the engine, then fills it up with coolant. It takes about 80 seconds or something. They've also put the brakes on here, and they've got the clocks and the air intake. It's really all come together. Very exciting, we're almost there, aren't we? Fairings went on, top fairing, mudguard, mirrors, screen, loads of other wee trim bits at the back, and we're nearly there. It's taken them 3.5 hours to build this bike from the start of the assembly line over there. And it took them an hour to build the engine beforehand. We reckon there's 120 people have had a wee part to play in this bike, and there's about 2,500 parts went into it overall. There's a lot in there. The final test for the bike happens in here in the rolling road. It's essentially a fancy dyno, but it also turns the front wheel as well. The operator puts the bike on, runs it up, goes through all the gears, checks the brakes, and the computer tells me if it passes or fails. They also do a quick power check here as well, just to make sure that the engine's put together right and it's making the sort of power that it should be doing at this stage. Bikes are finished, they've been checked, they've been on the rolling road, everything's fine with them. So they're going to go in a crate now and be sent off to a warehouse or straight to a dealer for you to buy.